I think we are now live, but I'm just going to double check that my audio is working. So, everyone who's joining us already in the chat, welcome everyone. Please let me know if you can hear me loud and clear. If I need to make any mic adjustments, please just let me know, and then we'll get this stream started. Thank you. Perfect. Confirmation that you can hear me. Hello everyone and welcome back to Gavra Racing for the playoff season finale here at Qatar for the third and final race in this championship. It's going to be a very interesting season finale, I think, in these two sets of 25% races. It's a little bit low, but not terrible. I can make adjustments to that. So bear with me. We're sounding like now. We've got two 25% races here at Qatar, and as the championship standings look going into this race, the top five are not here, and there is just less than a 30-point gap between 5th place Piero and the leader Sue, who is not here on 53 points. So it's going to be a very interesting race to see if Piero can find the points that he needs to win this championship whilst his rivals aren't here. I'm doing my best to try and get the audio up. Hello, welcome, welcome Pushadino, welcome Steps, welcome Sim Freedom, everyone joining us in the chat. Yoss as well, as Piero goes provisional pole with a 1 minute 21.8 here at Qatar. Qatar, it's a very interesting track, a new addition to the 23 calendar, one of my personal favourites. Loved it on MotoGP and I'm so glad that it's been added to Formula One. It's not the first time we've been to Qatar here at Gavra Racing. It was an addition in the Weekend League and a couple of team events have been held at this track. The pole time yesterday was a 1 minute 23.3, I'm being told from Gavra, so maybe different track conditions perhaps. Or Piero on the pace here tonight in the pink Alpine. Running multiplayer cars for this final race of the season due to a couple of issues with the equal car performance of the, it's 21.3, the pole time. So yeah, a couple of issues with multiplayer cars, Formula One cars not being equal when set to equal performance, thus we are using the multiplayer cars. So we do have a couple of decent, not decent, I was going to say, we do have a couple of F1 liveries on the grid, as well as some really nice designs as well. And yeah, 10 drivers in tonight's race. How long till I learn everyone's names? For those of you who have listened into my commentaries before on the F1 game, you'll know that it takes me at least half a season to learn everyone's name without making somewhat of a mistake. Tonight I have about 11 minutes and 55 seconds left of this qualifying session to get everything right. So we got Macro on provisional pole. I do simplify it as much as possible, but if I do say your name wrong and you are listening into the stream, please let me know. That'd be great. So we've got Macro on provisional pole, a 10th and a bit quicker than Pierre in second. We've got Nemesis rounding out the top three, and Yano in fourth. Those are the top four. And now a track like Qatar, it's really easy to invalidate your lap time. Pushing the track limits, there's a lot of high and medium speed corners, so the fastest lap times will come down to keeping it clean and inside the white lines. It's also quite tricky to get two flying laps in a track like Qatar because you do burn through a lot of your ERS. It's such a high speed circuit, not many heavy braking zones to recover the battery, so it should make it just adds that little bit more into the race strategy. Do you burn all your ERS at the start to try and get track position, or do you maybe save it towards a late push at the end? Maybe it depends if you go for an over or undercut. Looking like we're going to get another driver joining us on the strip on the grid. I tried to say grid and who's joining us at the same time. It didn't work. The Steps is joining us on the grid for tonight's race to make it 11 drivers, so only one will miss out on scoring a point for the final two races, assuming everyone finishes this race. 10 minutes left to go, and we've got some quick lap times coming in. We've got F1 Dino on a lap time, making his way through the first sector now. 1.4 seconds down on his, I think he's actually just set that lap time for 21.9. My apologies. I've only just noticed his low ERS, so he'll be coming into the pits. Lemon Curd has invalidated his lap time, although that lap time might have just been put on the board considering his low battery percentage. So we're kind of at that phase in qualifying now. It happens 2 or 3 times every session where everyone's done their first lap. Drivers are starting or have just finished their second lap. As you can see, we've got a lot of drivers on the bottom half of the grid who are just starting their out laps. Miami Dillon is actually starting a flying lap. So let's have a look at his lap time. Currently in 8th place with a 1 minute 30.2, 9 seconds off the pace, but I'm sure he'll be able to find a number of seconds off of that lap time. Going through the first sector, kind of a challenging first corner because you really want to push as much as you can without oversteering, which will slow the car down. Misses the first apex through the double right-hander. You really want to carry as much speed for those corners as you can. He's 1/10 down off his personal best so far. Qatar is really all about pushing the car and its track limits in towards my least favourite corner on the on this circuit. Turn 7, I think. But this could just be a banker lap for Miami Dillon, trying to get a lap time on the board. Car on the inside might have just put him off a little bit. 6/10 up though through the middle sector, so it is going to be an improvement if he can keep it within track limits and keep the car facing forward. And just as I say that, he has it validated over the inside curve. The triple right-hander, such an easy place to invalidate a lap time, although it was on the inside. Most corner cuts there are on the outside of drivers pushing, trying to go as flat as they can, and unfortunately doesn't have enough battery left to go for another lap. Nemesis Death, currently with a 1 minute 23.0, he's starting a flying lap, going through the first sector in a stealth black car. Very, very nice, almost like the McLaren Special Singapore, but without the orange. And F1 Dino has unfortunately left or disconnected from the session. We'll try and invite him back as soon as possible. For Gav, if you are listening, I've just sent Dino another invite to save you the job. I didn't actually see Nemesis's, that's going to be tough to say, Nemesis's first sector split. So I'm not sure whether he's improving or not. We'll just have to wait and see through the middle sector how he performs. I'm trying to judge based on his sector time. I think he is improving. It does look like an improvement. He's 5/10 up and purple to the middle sector as Swatch goes fast, 5/10 clear of Macro. I'm going to call him Macro Man actually. I know that's cutting off the second half of the second word, but Macro Man just sounds so much more better. But Nemesis has invalidated. Dino's back in the lobby and it's a trip to the pit lane for Nemesis. Looks like Dylan's going to try and start another. I think he's just finishing his lap. He's got no ERS left. It will be an improvement though. It's a 25.6 and still 4 seconds off pole position. Piero is just starting his lap in the pink Alpine. I think Macro is also starting his flying lap. Yes, he is. I think he bailed on that last lap and is going for it again. But let's have a look at Piero going through the first sector. He's currently the car, well, I think the next car out to set a lap time. The annoying thing about using the F1 World cars, where so many people are in similar cars, is that it's so hard to tell who is who on the track map. But Piero is purple through the first sector, only 400ths up on his personal best, but is still improving at a rapid pace. Yellow's in sector 1, that's just someone pulling over to get out of the way. Won't interfere with Piero's lap time as he makes his way through the middle sector. A really technical, challenging middle sector of lap time can be gained and found in the traction zones. Let's have a look at his middle sector. He's improving, but not by much. No longer purple, so we'll have to see where this puts the Frenchman, who is in the fight to win this championship, albeit going into it in 5th place and 20 odd points behind the current championship leader. A reminder, the top 4 are not here for tonight's race. One of them being me, so I am technically here, but I'm not going to score any points in the commentary box. Let's see what lap time Piero does up to the line. It's a long run, puts him up into 2nd place, improves by 2/10. 1/10 clear of Macro, but still 4/10 behind the current pole sitter. So a big improvement is going to be found if he is to take pole position. We've got the steps making his way down the start-finish straight in the long run up to the line. Let's see where his first lap time puts him up into second place. The other Alpine might be particularly happy about that. 2/10 quicker than Pierre, so very close between the top runners. We've got comments in the chat saying, how can I get to the pink Alpine? If you go into your mail, it should be there for free. A bit of a surprise, actually, the pink Alpine getting added to the game. But it is completely free. You don't have to do any F1 World Challenge. I'm not sure if it's in the premium. I do have the podium pass, so it could be. But if you just go to your mail, have a look, and it should be there. Same as not the same as the Williams Golf livery for Singapore and Japan. If you want to get that livery, then you have to beat Alex Albon's time at Singapore. It's not too particularly difficult to beat. I'm sure all the viewers and drivers who are tuning into the stream should be capable to beat it in a couple of attempts. And that's how you can get the Williams Golf livery. Who is on a lap? Is Lemon Kurd on a lap? No, he's not. He must have made a mistake somewhere. Nemesis might be on a flying lap. He's currently making his way through the first sector. Let's have a look at his sector split. It's 2.5 tenths up on his personal best. That will keep him in 7th place, but we'll have to wait and see how much time he can find in the middle and final sector. There's only 3.5 minutes left to go, so he now has to make the choice. Is this lap going to be good enough to move me up the grid, or do I have time to pit now, put on a fresh set of softs, and go for it again? Because we're at that point where most of the drivers are going to be in the pits waiting for the final couple of seconds in qualifying to get to the track at its prime condition. Nemesis, though, purple in the middle sector and 3.5 tenths up, so he might not bail this lap. It'd be wise for him to stay out. Does indeed stay out, so he's going to got one more corner to go. 3 minutes left on the clock. Let's see where Nemesis can put himself. Currently in 7th place with a 1 minute 23.0. It's a long run up to the line. He's got no overtake left, but puts himself in 7th place. It was an improvement by 5 tenths, but could move himself up the grid. But could help solidify his 7th place start. Couple of drivers leaving the pit lane already, going through the middle sector, preparing for a lap. I don't think Matt is going to be able to go for another run. He's ran out of fuel, so he is out of qualifying. You could say there's only one qualifying session, but he will be starting in 11th place. We got Miami Dylan starting his flying lap, wanting to get his time in early. Look at everyone flocking out the pit lane. 4 cars on pit lane exit all at the same time, and coincidentally it's the top 4 in this qualifying session so far, so there might be a game of chicken to try and get the toe down the start finish straight. But will it be worth it with the dirty air through the middle sector? I'm going to keep looking at Miami Dylan's lap time through the first sector. He's 3 tenths up, a little bit of marbles on the front tyres as he runs a little bit offline. Apparently Matt has caused a couple of infringements. Maybe the stewards might want to look at that if it ends up being an influence for the race or something. But it is the season finale of the playoffs. The playoffs are aimed for the newer drivers joining Gavra Racing, and then they can be put in the weekend leagues, which are starting up in 2 weeks' time. The 1st of October is the evaluation race, I believe. And then that is when the calendar will be drawn at random. Let's have a look at Dylan's time, though, as he rounds the final corner, turns 16, 1 minute 25.6. Can he improve? He has been improving throughout this lap in the Max Verstappen Red Bull livery. A 1 minute 24.4, a 1.2 second improvement puts Dylan in 9th place and off of the back row on the grid. Looks like Macro's got on with it in that train of cars that left the pit lane. He's making his way through the first corner, and then it will be who's next. We've got Lemon Curd, followed by Piero, and then Steps, and the whole sitter will get the best track conditions. So let's have a look at Macro's first sector. He's 2.5 tenths up, which will put him in second place so far. And I'm going to ride on board with him, but he's got some traffic in front of him. Big traffic, and I believe is it Matt? No, it's not Matt. It's Miami Dylan. There's contact, and Macro's round, and that is his chance at pole position. Thrown away by some back marker traffic. Dino's retired, Macro's retired, and that is the end of Macro's qualifying. The steps is not improving through the first sector, albeit by 600ths. What is the current pole state? I just missed the sector split. Pierre is invalidated through the middle sector, so he'll start no higher than third place. What about the steps? Let's have a look at his middle sector split as he makes his way through turn 10s and 11. He's just improving only by 200ths. I'm not sure he knows Pierre is invalidated, so he'll still want to get this lap time in. Lemon Curd as well, making his way down the start-finish straight. 5.5 tenths up through the last sector. Let's see where he can put himself from 6th place up to 5th. Improves by 6 tenths of a second. Let's see what lap time Pierre would have done. 1 minute 21.64, so he would have gone up into second place. Can Steps beat it? Indeed he does at 21.5. Solidifies second place. And can the pole sitter go even quicker? Yes, he does. At 21.1, 4 tenths clear of the nearest car. An absolutely incredible lap time in a dramatic qualifying session. As Bargi finishes the session on an invalidated lap time, so couldn't start any higher than 10th place. But there is your grid for the first race tonight. So remember, 2:25 races lie ahead of us here at Qatar. Switch on pole position at 21.1. The steps in second place, 3.5 tenths off off the pole sitter, but is on the front row of the grid. Piero in third place ahead of Macro in fourth, Lemon Curd in fifth, Dino in sixth, Nemesis in seventh, Yano in eighth, Dylan in ninth, Bargi in 10th, and Matt rounding out the top 11 with no time set. Hello everyone joining us in the chat. Dino, welcome Piero, Mr. Mankin as well, welcome to us in the chat. And I have just remembered there is no formation lap, I believe, so that caught me off last time. I can't remember the last F1 event I commentated on, actually. It's been a while since I've done F1. I forgot there was no formation lap, and I started talking about things you do on the formation lap, and the race started. I did forget to mute my mic, actually, whilst having a drink, so apologies if you heard any annoying sounds. Let's talk about Qatar then before we get started. The total lap length is 5.4 kilometres long, 16 corners I believe, and you're full throttle, about 70% of the lap. So it really is, despite being a fast track, high downforce setups are the way to go, nearing the 50-40 wing angle regions. But here we go, the 11 drivers are on the grid. We're building up to 5 red lights, and away we go for the season finale here at Qatar. I've been baited, unbelievable. But let's have the switch off to a good start. Sorry, the steps off to a good start. Nearly 3-4 wide going into turn 1 with Macro on the inside. This can't work. Indeed, it hasn't. Contact as one of the Alpines, I think, hits the pole sitter as the steps is going to swoop his way round the outside, going in towards turn 2, and makes his way up into the lead of the race. Swipes down into towards third place behind Macro. Piero looking for a move on the inside, as F1 Dino looking a little bit racy behind that pink Alpine, now going in towards turn 6. Piero under pressure from Dino, who's trying to stick a wing on the inside. Debris in the background. That's Matt, I think, going into the back of Yano, or the other way around. Dylan might have been involved in that one as well, as the steps start under pressure. We've got a car off, and it's the pole sitter. It's swiped Yeah, Swite's facing the wrong way. I'm not sure if he's got any damage. I can't see it from my angle. But that's a dreadful start from the pole sitter, now running in 10th place. But a dream start for Steps. Macro up into second, and Piero is your top three. Jarno, the first driver to pick up a time penalty, followed closely by Nemesis, already picking up 3 warnings, and we haven't finished the first lap of racing. The biggest gainer at the end of the first lap is Bargi from 10th up to 7th place, but here we might have a change for the lead of the race. Macro side by side with the Steps, using a lot of his overtake to get the move done. Down in towards the first corner, Lemon Curd and Nemesis going side by side, down in towards the first corner, and Lemon Curd moves his way up into 5th place, exactly where he started. The Steps back down to 2nd place, has his Alpine teammate closely following in pursuit. I'm not sure if they are actually teammates, I don't think they are, but are running the same livery in today's race. And of course, a strategy that's not really been thought of is none of these drivers know who their in-game teammate is. So pitting behind the car in front might be, well, you might pay the price a little bit later when you have to double stack. We'll have to wait and see how that unfolds. Hopefully, we've got 11 drivers here tonight, so only one driver will be unlucky enough to share a pit stop or a garage with someone, and hopefully everyone's hoping that their teammate is Matt, who's already made his pit stop and is onto a set of the medium compound tyres to finish out this race. Let's have a look at the tyres. Macro starting on the soft tyres, as is Piero, Dino, Bargi and Dylan. The Steps on the mediums, as well as Lemon Curd, Yarno and now Matt. We've got 2 drivers, Swite and Nemesis, starting on the slowest hard compound tyre, the white striped tyre that should be able to go a long distance in this race. Macro trying to build out an early advantage, use that fresh set of tyres to extend his lead to over a second and pull out a gap to the car behind to get out that DRS zone. That's what I was trying to say before I was slightly distracted by a pink Alpine nearly going into the back of another pink Alpine. Pierre late on the brakes going in towards turn 1, but thankfully for him, no contact. Dino and Lemon Curd sticking with the cars in front, and it's been a good race good start for Lemon Curd, I'd say, on those medium compound tyres and sticking with the 2 cars in front that are on the quicker soft compound tyres. I've just seen something in the chat that says, yesterday I couldn't use the softs because they were 1 second slower, so I did a medium hard. That's very interesting. Perhaps you hadn't saved a set of softs for the race, so the game would have started you on a worn set of soft compound tyres. That could be why. It'll be interesting to know how many of these drivers on the soft compound tyres are on used softs or fresh softs, whether they saved a set from qualifying. Gathering how long do the softs last? I'd say probably aiming to pit on lap 6 or 7 from the soft compound tyres. Roughly the same for the mediums. Meanwhile, Piero on the inside of his teammate as the Steps is going to try and fight this one back to the outside of the battle for 2nd place, and Piero's got it stick using the grip advantage of the soft compound tyres to make his way up into 2nd place. Now can he hunt down for the race leader also on the soft compound tyres, but Steps is going to try and fight this one back and keep with him. Jarno picking up another 3-second time penalty. I thought the Steps might have. He definitely considered sending one down the inside. Yes, it's only a 25% race for these 2 races. This is the first, the second will follow. So yeah, softs. I'd reckon if I was racing and I started on the soft compound tyres, I'd probably be pitting on lap 6 to try and get the undercut on those who are also on softs and others on mediums. And I should have said this during qualifying as well. Apologies if the commentary is a little bit rusty. I do much prefer doing these slower GT3s on Gran Turismo as Swite swoops around the outside of Bargi. A beautiful move through turn 12, I think it is. An unconventional overtaking part of the circuit, but made it stick. So yeah, a beautiful move, and apologies if the commentary's rusty. I much prefer doing Gran Turismo where it's a little bit slower. It suits my style, as the steps is not going to be slowing down in towards turn one because he's moved his way up into second place with the aid of the drag reduction system as switches into the pits off of the hard compound tyres. He's had enough of that strategy, and I think we'll bolt on a set of mediums. We'll have to wait and see. Indeed, the yellow striped medium tyre goes on to the black car. That's what I don't like about using F1 cars. I know it's the F1 World cars. I know it's not Gav's fault or anyone that we're using it. We would be in the normal F1 cars, but my style of commentary, I like to say the car. That's why when we race in GT3s in Gran Turismo, I like to say, the Porsche going down the inside of the Mercedes. The same with F1, the Alfa Romeo fighting the Alpine, etc., etc. So yeah, I need to try and cast that style to one side, because we've got two Alpines. If the two Alpines are all we talk about, that'll be perfect. But Macro Man is leading the way. I know his name's not actually Macro Man, that's not his full name, but it sounds nice to say on stream. On those soft compound tyres, we're already on like 5 of 14, by the way. This race has flown by. So Macro with a 1.8 second advantage earlier on in this race. I think he might have hoped he'd have pulled out a little bit of a bigger gap, but the problem he has is Alpines behind aren't really fighting each other. They're kind of using the DRS to tow themselves along. Having said that, Pierre looking for a move down the inside and towards the first corner, but the steps swoops right round the outside using the faster outside line to maintain the position, and also crucially on medium compound tyres, so doing very well to keep ahead of Piero and Dino whilst they are on the softs, but they might be overheating their soft compound tyres sat behind the steps. He's doing an incredible job, has lost a couple of tenths to the race leader, a couple more drivers in pit lane as Lemon Kurd and Dino going side by side. Maybe a mistake from Dino, because that looked like an easy overtake from Lemon on those mediums, so maybe the softs we're at that crossover phase where the mediums might be quicker than the softs. Another useful point, another useful comment being made is that the fuel is an issue at this circuit. You cannot afford to underfuel the car because it is a fuel burner. The race leader though pulls into the pits off of the softs, and it's lap 6, just as I predicted. The steps also into the pit, so the top 3 pull into pit lane. Lemon Curd is going to have to try and defend from Dino as they go side by side down the start finish straight. I don't think anyone's being held in the pits, but the two net race leaders now side by side going in towards turn 1. Dino on the inside and has already used, not going to say it actually because there might be drivers who are tuning in watching. Don't like to comment on drivers' ERS whilst we're live. I'm not used to doing this live because usually I race in GT7 and then I do the commentary on the race replay, because I also I'm on the grid as well, so I do the race replay. It's not actually live, so I can comment on the drivers' overtakes, but I know how much overtake they have left. But this is live, and I know some drivers like to listen in. So I don't want to give anyone a psychological advantage by exposing everyone's ERS, but it might be on the stream, on the screen for those to see. But obviously they're going to be paying their attention to the track, not exactly looking over to a screen or a phone. So the undercut has been initiated by the former top 3. Macro still ahead of the steps, but the steps now on the soft compound tyres. As Lemon Curd picks up a 3-second time penalty. These time penalties are going to be crucial to deciding the end of this race. Dino's into the pits. Lemon stays out for another lap, interestingly, so we'll be going for an attack at the end of the race. Let's see where Dino filters out onto the circuit. He was behind Piero and the steps. I think Piero's lost a little bit of time to the steps actually, because the gap's now 2 seconds between those guys. So let's see where Dino exits the pit lane. It's going to be behind Piero, I think. Should be behind Piero. Indeed, he is behind Piero, but I think... Yeah, look how much the undercuts worked out for the former top 3. Dino now 2 seconds behind Piero. but on a fresh set of medium compound tyres. So those 1 lap fresher tyres could give him the pace advantage to claw back the time lost. What he doesn't want is Piero to catch up to the back of the steps and use the DRS to tow him along. Bargi goes round the outside of Jarno in towards turn 1 and gets the move done up into 8th place. A good overtake from Bargi, and Jarno on those 5-lap hold soft compound tyres might be a struggle to get to the end of the race. The move might not be over yet, because here comes Jarno trying to fight back through the middle sector, but you've really got to be side by side if you want to go for a move in towards the double right-hander. Don't know why you'd want to go for a move through the double right-hander. To be perfectly honest, you'll just end up losing so much time and would probably end up in collision. It's a medium speed double right-hander. It just won't end well, and Jarno smartly sits behind for now. Lemon Curd stays out for another lap, maybe goal hanging for a safety car, but with only 10 other drivers on the grid, all fairly separated, no one particularly close apart from that battle for 6th place. I doubt we're going to get a safety car anytime soon, so it's an interesting strategy from Lemon Curd. We'll just go gap to leader. It's probably about 24-second pit stop time. And, Nemesis is 24 seconds behind the leader. So this could be interesting. There are 6 laps to go in this race, so I would have thought maybe pitting on this lap would have been the ideal lap to pit for those soft compound tyres, but maybe just wants to get the most out of these mediums. You can see that gap to the leader, gap to 2nd place is coming down at a rapid rate of knots, and the undercut is so much more powerful on this game than in previous F1 games that we'll have to wait and see how he will fare at the end of the race on those much fresher softs than everyone else. The steps has already done two laps on those softs, so we'll have to wait. We'll have to compare to the steps. We do have a nice close battle for 6th place between Nemesis and Swite. I don't know how would you say this guy's name? Apologies if you are watching and I'm butchering your name. As Lemon Curd is into the pit, but it just looks like he's going to fall so far behind everyone. As we've got a little bit of weaving down the start-finish straight to try and break the tow. Nemesis, how does he defend this? Lemon's leaving the pit lane, and that's Swite up into 5th place. So I don't know where I got 2nd from. Sim Freedom in the chat saying he will gain a lot on new softs, but he's losing a lot of time. Speaking of losing time, Macro has lost a couple of tenths to the steps, who's now in DRS range. Steps currently running 7th in the championship, 26 points behind the championship leader. So if he does win this race, he will be in the fight for the championship. And his nearest rival is Piero, 7 points ahead of him in the championship, behind him on track. So these are crucial points in the championship. I'm going to try and work it out as we go along. Why do I always commentate on season finales? I hate doing the maths because it just always makes me think too much. Nemesis picking up a 3-second time penalty, leaving only 2 drivers yet to pick up time penalties, which now will be crucial, especially if there's a safety car. Here we go, the steps, pulls over to the left-hand side of your screen, right-hand side of the circuit, and makes his way up into the lead of the race. Lemon Curd also getting the move done on Nemesis, but it is the steps who leads this race with only 4 laps to go. And it looks like the steps and Piero, the 2 pink Alpines, are the 2 main contenders for the championship. Nemesis going into this race on 18 points, but is currently 7th place in this race. I mean, I'm in 3rd, and I turned up last week to fulfill the numbers, so I could have got on the grid to win the championship, but I thought I'd do the commentary instead. I've had my fair share of wins in Gavra over the time. Let's move on and let the new people see what they're made of. Kind of like Doc Hudson from Cars. I've done my part, and now it's time to move on, and provide back, let's say, to the other people. Macro though has stayed with the steps going into the final corner. I don't know where that Doc Hudson reference led to. But we're probably, most likely, definitely going to see another change for the lead of the race. Interestingly, we're not. Schweitzer retired down at the final corner, but it's too late in the race for a safety car, which means everyone's now going to score points in this race, assuming everyone else finishes. And that is the pole sitter out of the Qatar Grand Prix with 3 laps to go. Judging by where his car was, I'd assume he lost it on the final corner. I don't think there was any contact in it. Separated by 0.4 of a second with only 3 laps to go in this race. One of them in contention for the Drivers' Championship by the end of this evening. Apologies, I just had a long sneezing session. Anyway, the steps now in the lead of this race, going on to the penultimate lap of the Qatar Grand Prix, but it's got Macro close behind him. I don't think Macro wants to lead until the final lap of the race, otherwise the steps should just use the DRS to get back past him. We have some mind games being played between the top two. This will be a very interesting end to this race, because if they hold each other up too much, then Piero could pick up some pieces here in his pursuit of the Drivers' Championship of the playoff series. Macro not interested in overtaking until the DRS on the last lap. But does he do it on this lap, or does he go for the run to the line? This will be interesting, because Piero is gaining quite a lot of time on these guys. The gap was 3.2, now it's 2.5, and closing, and he's bringing Dino with him. If Dino were to overtake Piero, then that would be another twist in the tail in their championship pursuit. I think the steps is slowing down slightly. He doesn't want to lead this race either. Piero down 2 seconds, 1.9 behind, and look who's Matt turning up on the scene. Because if he's slow enough on this lap, then the steps might get DRS on the last lap, or whoever the race leader is might catch up to Matt and get that DRS up to the line. Here we go. Macro's going for it, pulls over to the right hand side of the circuit and takes the lead of the race away from the steps. Going in towards the first corner with the aid of DRS. Here goes Dino as well to the inside of Piero, side by side. Piero concedes the position. Both Alpines being overtaken on the final lap of the race. Matt pulls over to the right hand side of the circuit, obeys the blue flag rules, and lets the leaders get on with their own race on their final lap here in Qatar. And I had completely forgot about it. Time penalties will change the outcome of this race, and Piero's picked up another one on the final lap. Unfortunately for him, only Dino in front of him has only got 3 seconds, so as it stands, the Steps is going to win this race. Piero will finish in 4th. And with 7 points between the Steps and Piero, the two drivers were most likely going to win this championship, as they're here for tonight's race. Can you believe it? Piero's on 34 points, the championship leader's on 53, but Piero's in 5th place in the championship, the Steps is in 7th. And the Steps is also, so Piero's run wide for the final corner. I thought he was going to lose it. Macroman though rounds the final corner. He's going to win the race on the track. But with time penalties, that's going to change, because the Steps started in 3rd or 2nd place and finishes in he wins the race. Sorry, I was too distracted by Piero getting overtaken by Lemon Curd because he's ran out of fuel. Piero has ran out of fuel and is crawling up to the line. So is Bargy, I think, no, Nemesis. So I'm speechless. I'm trying to say too many things at once. Nemesis and Piero running out of fuel up to the line. Piero now down to 5th. The Steps wins the race on time penalties. And that's hugely unfortunate for Piero. You can tell I'm rusty. Too many things happening at the same time. Last but not least, Miami Dylan run up to the line. That is the end of the first race. Comments in the chat about the fuel. Piero saying, why is it this the only game in the world that lie on fuel? And doesn't let you save fuel, yeah. But Qatar is such a fuel burner that you have to put, I think in a 25% race you have to put 1.7 laps of fuel. Or, because I remember from testing from the weekend league, I think I used about 1.1/1.2 laps of fuel a lap. Because it's such a high burning, it's such a track that really burns the fuel. It's kind of like Zandvoort in this game as well. You really go through the fuel. I think 25% you have to put 1.7 laps of fuel roughly to be safe. Anyway, the Steps wins the first race tonight. Don't go anywhere because we've still got another 25% race on the way. Macram finishes in 2nd place ahead of Dino in 3rd. Lemon Curd in 4th. Piero running out of fuel in 5th with time penalties as well. Wouldn't have gained any positions, I don't think. The Nemesis in 6th. Bargy in 7th. Yarlo in 8th. Dylan in 9th. Matt in 10th. And the Pulsator Switch in 11th place, who did not finish. So, doing the maths, Piero on 44 points, the Steps on 52. So, this is interesting because the Steps is now 1 point behind the championship leader, who's not here tonight. Piero on 44 points puts him in 4th place, behind me actually. I'm only 2 points behind the Steps, so what do we say? Do I jump out the commentary box and go onto the track? No, I'm joking. I wouldn't do that. Commentary from my POV would not be very exciting at all because everyone will be behind me. You won't see any action. That's why I'm in the box. No, I'm joking. Joking, of course not. Of course not. It would be interesting though. I don't think commentary's ever been done before with a driver on the commentator actually on the grid. I used to do mid-race interviews. Pushadino, I can work out where you are. You finished 4th in the last race, if I am not mistaken. So you are on 26 points in 8th place. No, you're not, I think. Oh, I don't know. Where did Nemesis finish? He was in 6th. 6, 8. I think you're level on points with Nemesis, actually. In 7th place. Steps saying he put 2.2 laps of fuel in and had 0.5 at the end. How could the game be so seriously wrong on the fuel? Yeah, the best thing I do is always practice in Grand Prix. That's one of the first things I look at. I look at what the fuel depletion's like. At tracks like Vegas, you actually gain fuel. I know it's crazy. You can gain fuel over a race. I think you gain 0.1 or 0.2 by the end. So you can just start the race with 0.1 laps of fuel and be comfortable. But at tracks like Qatar and Zandvoort, really do burn the fuel. So I think everyone's learning. We saw a couple of issues in the weekend league actually. Some drivers ran out of fuel, but quickly learned from their mistakes. Before we get into the one-shot qualifying, let's do a quick plug. Hello everyone, welcome to Gavra Racing. If you're not already subscribed, please do follow us on Twitch and YouTube. If you have Amazon Prime, you can subscribe for free. Join our Discord. Link can be found in the Twitch or on the website. Just type in Gavra Racing into Google or Bing or Yahoo, whatever your search engine of choice is. And yeah, join us. Come chat to the drivers, the admins. I don't know, bully someone. No, don't bully someone. That's not advised. Yeah, join the Discord. We've got the weekend league starting on the 1st of October. Make sure to join the stream for the first race of the season. It'll be an evaluation race. I believe it's Spain, the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya. The calendar will be released for that as well. There are still spaces available in Weekend League 2 that takes place on a Sunday at, I believe, 5 p.m. UK time or 6 Central European. So, yeah, make sure you join us for that. What else have we got? There's a sponsored race on Sunday, the 24th of September. So if you're watching this live or before that date, there are still spaces to sign up to that. At the time of recording, there might be an event out, so go check the Discord. Gavra will post events in the announcements chat. So keep an eye on that one. And also we got Gran Turismo on Fridays in the Super Formula, which is basically Japanese F1. It's really fun. We've got spaces available. Come give it a go if you have time on a Friday evening at 8 o'clock UK time. We've got a lot of front runners invalidating their lap times, going towards the back of the grid. Lemon Curd and Piero, one of them. But Macro now rounds the final corner in this qualifying session in the lead of the runnings as so far. Can he be beaten by the steps up to the line? No, he can't. It's a 21.2, 4 tenths quicker than the steps, half the grid invalidating their lap time. Yeah, I've learned. I haven't actually commentated on a one-shot qualifying in a while, but I've learned from the old, not the old, I wouldn't even say the old weekend leagues because the format is still the same. But I remember I've recently watched some of the old weekend leagues that I was in. Trying to commentate on a one-shot qualifying is just impossible because they change all the time. Macro starts this race on pole position. The Steps joins him on the front row in second place. Jarno in third, followed by Bargy in fourth. Dylan in fifth. Matt in sixth, and the invalidated lap times. Dino, Nemesis, Lemon Curd, Switch, and Piero at the back of the grid. So one championship protagonist at the front, the other at the back. Obviously, it would have been more entertaining if it was the Steps at the back and Piero at the front, because Piero is 8 points behind, but it will still make for an interesting race. Piero, a 2-time Super League Constructors champion, or 3? I think 3. As well as winning the Constructors in GT7. I've got no idea what season, and I'm the admin. I think it's season 6. No, it wouldn't have been season 6. Season 7? Or 5? Anyway, Piero's won a lot of Constructors Championships. I've got 0. Anyway, we're here for the Qatar Grand Prix, sponsored by DHL. As you can see, we're not sponsored by DHL for the racing. Anyway, we're building up to 5 red lights here for the Qatar Grand Prix, the season finale. And we are underway here under the floodlights of Qatar. The Steps off to a good start, but Macro off to an even better start. 3 wide in the background. Dino sending one up the inside. No contact, I believe, into turn 1. A couple of wiggles in the midfield, but everyone survives for now. Macro takes the lead or maintains the lead of the race from the steps. Someone's falling behind. There's a lot of debris. We've got a virtual safety car. There's a big crash off. D. Lemon Curds down to 10th place. Piero already up into 6th. What a brilliant start from him. But the safety car is out. The virtual safety car won't be upgraded to a full safety car. But we've got cars with no front wing. I believe that's... who is it? We've got Dylan with no front wing. I think Dino might have damage. I don't know who caused the incident. It just looked like a couple of guys in the midfield getting out of shape, and I think, you know, tyre-to-tyre contact doesn't end well. Dino in the chat saying he's got no setup on and is currently running at the back of the grid after the lap 1 incident. Will the virtual safety car stay out long enough, though, for the drivers to make it back to pit lane and change onto a set of medium or hard compound tyres? Unfortunately for Bargi, he's already on the hard compound tyres. That's a big shunt at the back. Jarno's gone completely into the back of Bargi, I think. Well, he's gone into the back of someone because he's going into the pits with no front wing. This is a crazy start to the Qatar Grand Prix. The season finales always have somewhat of a spark fueled with something. But the safety car the virtual safety car has now ended. I've got absolutely no idea what happened at the penultimate corner. But debris went everywhere. We've got cars in the pits changing front wings. But the race is now back underway with Macro leading the field in towards the first sector. The steps in second and Bargi in third. Piero from last to 4th place. An incredible start for him to try and get this championship back on track. If he's to win it tonight, Piero needs to outscore the steps by 8 points. A reminder that the steps and Piero, despite being the only 2 drivers on the grid tonight in contention of the championship, might not still win it. Sue, who was in the McLaren, isn't here tonight. 1 point ahead of the steps. So the steps, all he needs to do is finish this race, assuming Piero isn't outscoring him by 8 points. And as it stands, Piero appears to be struggling on those mediums. He's just lost the position. Now down into 5th place. Looks like Schweitz is not waiting for any mistakes. He's getting on with it. Already up into 3rd place. 2 overtakes in 2 corners. As Macro sets the new fastest lap of the race at 23.7. As DRS has now been enabled. Here goes Bargi trying to go round the outside on those hard compound tyres. Doesn't make it stick. The cars around him on much quicker compounds. 5-second time penalty being awarded for, I think that was Dylan, going in towards the pit lane. Piero going to try and go around the outside. Makes contact with the back of Bargi. You can see how much he's being slowed down by the car in front. Just can't find a way through. Dives it down the inside. Bargi leaves him the space. And I think that was a move that Piero had to make to try and get his race back on track. You can see how much time, nearly 2 seconds lost to the car in front, but on those medium compound tyres. And the 2 drivers in with a chance of winning the championship are on the same compound of tyres. Yellow flags in the middle sector. Is that Dino off? It is Dino off. His race goes from bad to worse in the blue and gold car. I don't like saying that. I need to say something else, like, you know, he's off in the Aston Martin or something. Something smells. It smells like burning. That's not great, actually. But, yeah, you know what, we'll go with it. If the fire alarm does go off, then the stream will have to be abandoned. That's a shame. I don't know what that smell is. I should be more focused on the racing, I think, but not too sure. We could have a change of position. We are going to have a change of position for 5th place. It's Lemon Curd overtakes Bargi. F1 Dino has retired in the pit lane. The smell is really bad, but I don't think it's burning, actually. Anyone who's new to my commentaries knows I like to go off track. I like to make it a little bit more casual than probably what it should be. But we roll with it. Last commentary I'd done for the Austrian Grand Prix on Gran Turismo, we ended up talking about me being a farmer. Don't know how that happened. I can't remember who it was, but I said something. Didn't I said something that was misinterpreted to say that I'm becoming a father. I'm not becoming a father for those who are watching that stream. Um, but we just always seem to end in these, you know, not talking about the race. But speaking about the race, we've got yellow flags in the first sector as Dino's car retires, coming out of the pit lane. The race leader Macro on those soft compound tyres ahead of the steps on mediums, Swipes on softs, and Piero on mediums. The top four separated by about 6 to 7 seconds. Pushadina in the chat saying he spun at the start because the rear was sliding. Sim Freedom confirming that the default setups are so bad. I can agree. But that virtual safety car might have helped the leaders on those soft compound tyres just to extend them for another lap. I don't really think the virtual safety car helps the medium runners because it just allows the soft runners to go one extra lap on the quicker tyre, although we'll have to wait and see when we get to the crossover point. Dino saying he got kicked before the one-shot qualifying, and then by the time he joined back, he'd been given the default setup, which is unfortunate. Yeah. I don't really sound sympathetic saying that. Dylan's retired, and we brought out the safety car. I don't know how Dylan's retired halfway down the start-finish straight, but the safety car has been deployed. Nemesis and Matt are making contact and overtaking. Let's not look at that. There's probably going to be an incident. Matt has been given a drive-through for speeding under the safety car. And I would imagine everyone will be pulling into the pit lane to get off of their current tyres and change onto the alternates. Matt's got another drive-through for speeding under the safety car. Matt, if you can hear me, you gotta slow down. Oh, I nearly just destroyed something on my desk. Did he pick up 2 drive-throughs? Oh, Nemesis and Matt have picked up 2 drive-throughs. And now Nemesis has got a penalty for ignoring yellow flags. So I think it's fair to say Nemesis and Matt unfortunately aren't winning this race. 2 drive-throughs, 2 5-second time penalties. Harsh. I admit it's harsh, but there's only we're on lap 6, and there's going to be 2 laps under the safety car. Dino in the chat saying we now know who will get a league spot and who won't. Well, the leagues are filling up, but there are still places left for those who want to join. The Aston Martin safety car has been deployed. If you are just tuning in, hello and welcome to the stream. I'm going to take a quick drink and we'll be back with you shortly. But in the meantime, I will mute my mic this time and you can enjoy the noise of the Formula 1 cars going around the Qatar track at 100 miles per hour. And we're back. Right, let's have a look in the comments. What are people saying in the chat? Some drivers who drive like it's an open lobby. I drive like it's an open lobby. I like to take everyone out. That's how I won my championships. No, I'm joking. Yeah, the thing is though with league racing as well, I guess I think it's going to be something that we see in the Weekend League 1, especially this season. And there are a lot of quick drivers, which means the grid is going to be very close. So I would expect the incident count to go up, but that's just something that happens, I guess. Obviously, there's a difference between a racing incident and a swipe. But yeah, I guess some drivers, especially maybe new ones, just try to prove themselves. Um, so they push too hard, and then they end up taking someone out. And then there are some drivers who have absolutely no idea what they're doing. People like, I don't know, I'm not going to name people. Not gonna. I don't know many of these drivers. I know Piero because he races in Gran Turismo, but and the steps from the weekend league. But I've not heard of any of these actual drivers before. So it's good to see that we've got lots of new drivers joining. But if this was a Gran Turismo stream, then yes, I would be mocking absolutely everyone. I said, for those who watched Mount Panorama last season, I called Bon Evil useless after he was leading the race and didn't win. He was on the well, someone was on the hard compound tyres, and I was saying how useless they are in Gran Turismo, and then he crashed. So I called him useless. But I don't really want to do that to any of these new drivers because it's harsh. You're new to a league. You want to get your feet. You want to. What's the phrase? You want to find your groove. That's not what I was thinking, but you want to join the league slowly, not put a bad name for yourself. I don't want to and then say, oh, you're useless or whatever. Simfrida says he hates drivers who have no awareness. Same to be, yeah, can't really disagree with that one. There's nothing worse than getting a qualifying lap blocked or a car going slowly. Speaking of going slowly, Macro's going very slowly because he is now the de facto safety car. Safety car in this lap, it's already pulling off in pit lane. We're practically stopped. This is a little bit too slowly for my liking, but Macro has put the foot down now and he has gone. So many safety car incidents in the past that we've had to put rules into to rectify them, such as going side by side under the safety car. A couple of drivers coming into the pits to serve their drive-throughs, I believe. Macro leads the race on lap 7, starting lap number 8 of 14. 7 laps to go. Piero having a little look for a move on the inside. Jarno not quite close enough to go for a move. Jarno not quite close enough to go for a move on Bargy, but might set himself in towards turn 4. But not close enough on this occasion. Meanwhile, the steps and those fresh soft compound tyres, the safety car has really helped him out in this race in his pursuit for taking the championship at the end. Jarno gets the move done on Bargy. It was a nice move to the outside. Makes that stick. Jarno, despite getting that move done, has picked up a 3-second time penalty. The steps on those soft compound tyres pushing for the win in this race, and also the Drivers' Championship. I believe it would be his first Drivers' Championship, although technically this isn't considered a full season. We've got 6 races, but obviously some drivers have different views of the championships. Obviously, the old weekend leagues and the Super League, Premier Series are the events that are being held, the Team Cup. Some drivers like to turn up and win those races. But we've got the weekend league starting up pretty soon for these drivers to prove themselves. Another 3-second time penalty, although we've only got 4 that have been handed out in this race so far. So drivers doing a much better job in terms of the track limit violations. Let's have a look at the biggest gainers and the losers in this race. Before I do so, we might see a move for 6th place. Nemesis is all over the back of Bargy. So far in this race, biggest gainers are Piero and Swiped, up 7 places from where they started. Gavra in the chat saying Macro's a good driver, it would be good to have him in the main leagues. Indeed it would be, as long as he's slower than me, I don't mind. No, I'm joking, of course. We want everyone to join, whether you're quick, whether you're slow, as long as you're clean. That's the main thing. Macro's picked up a 3-second time penalty, which will be crucial in determining the outcome of this race. It's how he lost the win about 20 minutes ago, and it might be how he loses the win again. The steps keeping it nice and clean, as is his Alpine teammate Piero, the two drivers in the top 6 that have not picked up a time penalty and could be promoted to the top 2 steps of the podium. Five laps to go here in the Qatar Grand Prix, and Mr. Mankan, saying, remember who drafted him. So we've got a scout getting in all these quick drivers, I see. The Gavra Racing Scout, Mr. Mankan. Matt's been disqualified for ignoring a drive-through penalty. That's not ideal. Will be retired from this race. Yellow flag's been waved in sector 1, but it won't bring out a safety car. So if that car is still there, by the time the leaders get round, it could limit overtaking. Gavra saying Mr. Mankin can bring in new drivers as long as they're not quicker than me. I'm yet to win a Constructors yet. Hang on a minute. Let's hold off the driver market. No, I'm joking. Of course, let's bring in everyone. Not everyone, obviously. That would be a horrible idea. Every human being known to man. I would not want that. Yeah, new drivers are welcome if you're watching this and you are not racing with us and you do want to. Just head over to our website. Go to the Discord, which is on the website, and you can join the Discord, chat to the drivers, get yourself signed up through the website. Just message Gavra himself. Blah blah blah, etc. This year is my year to win the Constructors. Well, we'll have to wait and see. My teammate, born winner, shout out to him. I was teammates with him last year. We came so close, but yet so far. The kind of been a trend, to be honest. I guess we'll get on to my lack of Constructors titles. I'm sure Jack will bring it up. He's the weekly commentator. He's brilliant, absolutely amazing. And I believe he's back again for another season. Piero picks up a 3-second time penalty. He's nearly lost the car. Down in 4th place, 1.7 seconds behind the car in front. Is this his championship? Falling away from him with his nearest rival in 2nd place with no time penalties. But the steps might lose another position because here comes Swite down the inside and gets the move done before turn 1. Is there going to be a double overtake from the pole sitter from the first race? Tries to swoop it around the outside. Macro gets a little bit of a tag slapper on the exit of the corner. They're side by side through turn 3. The right hand, turn 2, the right hander now. Of turn 3, both very low on ERS. The steps just sitting in behind, waiting for the opportunity. Switches off the track. And Macro takes the lead of the race back once again. Incredible racing from top 3. Jack's also commentating on the sponsored race, which is amazing because he does an amazing job week in, week out. Oh, Macro Man has picked up another 3-second time penalty, which brings the total up to 6 seconds. The Steps is in the prime position to win this race and the championship with it. As they make their way through this high-speed triple right-handers, turn 12, 11. That's going backwards. Turn 12, 13, 14. And the kink of turn 15, side by side until it's the final corner. Were there a little bit of DRS chicken games being played so that Macro gets the DRS down the start-finish straight in the run down towards turn 1 as we end lap 12 to start lap number 13. The Steps is going to go for on the inside, but swipes very defensively, very late over to the inside, lucky not to end in an airplane accident. Obviously the Steps doesn't need to take any unnecessary risks, but of course would love to win it on track. Halfway through the penultimate lap of this race, halfway through, well, approaching the end of the playoff championships that started in Texas, followed by a trip to France, and then ending up here in Qatar. So many drivers have come and gone. Just out of interest, who won the first two races in America? Anyway, well, someone can hopefully answer that question. More time penalties being picked up. But here we go. We start the final lap of this race. And, well, Swige actually has the DRS down in towards turn one. The steps gets ahead of Macro in towards the first corner. Contact. Macro runs into the back of the Alpine, gets front wing damage. Pierre is now promoted up into a podium position. The steps. Can he win this race on track? Or will he just settle for second place on the road? But will be crowned the world champion no matter what happens. I know he could still retire. No, never mind. Don't want to commentate his cursing when I've done that too many times in the past. I take that back. Not long to go in this race. We're on the final lap of the Qatar Grand Prix. Two Alpines running in podium positions. One of them in the prime seats to win this race. The steps now on 52 points. He just needs to score 2 points to take the championship lead, and that driver in the lead of the race. The championship is not here in tonight's race. Unless Pierre can outscore the steps by 8 points, then he will become champion. More time penalties being collected. As we make our way through the final sector for the final time this race and the final time this season, Switch lets the steps go through. Is he going to let him win it on the road? We'll have to wait and see. But through the final corner, deploying all the overtake left, the steps will win the Qatar Grand Prix and the Drivers' Championship as well. It's a 1-2 for the Alpine team. Piero in second place, Switch in third. But congratulations to the Weekend League Constructors Champions. The steps did win, yeah, the two-time Weekend League Constructors Champion. The steps wins the Drivers' Playoff Championship. Piero in second and Switch bringing out the top three. Macro in fourth, Jarno in fifth. Bargi's going to finish in sixth. Nemesis is set for seventh place and Lemon Curd in eighth place. As Nemesis has a lonely run up to the line in seventh place. Pierre is saying sad for the first race because he could have got 2 podiums. Unlucky Piero. Lemon Curd now up to the line to finish in 8th. Maybe I should have raced to make it, to just take steps out to make it a little bit closer. Who knows? Anyway, well done to the steps for winning the race and the championship with it. He's already won as many. Never mind. The steps is winning a lot recently. The Czech driver, that is the Czech flag, I believe. Please correct me if I'm wrong. But another mini championship to add to his collection. Thank you, Mr. Mankin, for the nice stream. Thank you. The steps just confirming, I believe that he is from. Anyway, the steps wins the Qatar Grand Prix, the second race of the season and the championship with it, followed by Pierre in second, Switch in third, Macroman in fourth, Jarno in fifth, Bargi in sixth, Nemesis in seventh, Lemon Curd in eighth, and the non-finishers, Matt, Dylan and Dino. Thank you everyone for watching. It's time that we now do some post-race plugging. What is there to announce? Oh yes, the sponsor race, which I mentioned halfway through this stream. That takes place this weekend, Sunday the 24th of September. To sign up, I believe you just message Gavra. Message him with the team that you'd like to sign up with as well, just in case EA and Codemasters fix the equal car performance glitch. The winner gets, I believe, €50, second gets 30, third place gets 20 and €10 for the lucky viewer. That will be announced at the end of the stream, I believe. Thank you guys for watching. The 1st of October, we have the start of the Weekend League, so make sure to tune in for that. Spots are available for the Weekend League 2, which takes place on 5 p.m, I believe, UK time, on Sunday. Also, Fridays, we have the Gran Turismo League, obviously, running as well. Message me if you would like to sign up to that. I've been XNAG. Thank you guys for tuning in to another stream, and I'll see you guys next time, whenever that be. Goodbye.